Today we're going to complete Unit 6, Lesson 2, which is scatter plots, okay? So a scatter plot shows a relationship between two variables. There are different types of relationships that scatter plots can show. And another word for relationship is going to be correlation, and that's going to be an important word, okay? So the first type of correlation that we might see is a positive correlation. And you can see in this example of a positive correlation that from right to left, our ordered pairs seem to be kind of staying together, but they're going up the more to the right that we go. Okay, so up and right is a positive slope, and it also demonstrates a positive correlation. Let's take a look at what a negative correlation looks like. So a negative correlation from left to right, it is going down or decreasing. Okay, so a positive correlation, a negative correlation, or it is possible for a scatter plot to show no correlation whatsoever. And no correlation would look like kind of random points. You don't see a pattern of increasing or decreasing. There's really just nothing that you could say about the correlation here because there's nothing that I could define it as other than just nothing, okay? All right, so for the most part, we will be paying attention to positive and negative correlations as we move forward. So what are these correlations helpful for, okay? Well, we look at them and we can create a line of best fit from the data. And that line of best fit is used to make predictions for future outcomes. And what we're going to do is look at this example down below, okay? The data in this graph below shows the resting heart rates and ages of a group of 20 people at the gym. Which line best represents the data? Graph each line to justify your answer, okay? So I can look at this and say that it looks like there's a negative correlation, okay? Negative meaning that the younger a person is, they tend to have a higher heart rate, okay? And then the older a person is, you can see that their heart rate is coming down. So that would be a negative correlation, okay? If you look at your lines, I do see line A has a negative slope, line B has a negative slope, line C has a negative slope, but what about line D? Well, line D, if you remember, that would be a HOI, and HOI helps us remember, because of the Y, that there's a zero slope, okay? So if I went to Y equals 50, that line would look like this, and that really does not fit our data at all. So line D is not going to be our answer. Let's look at line C. So we're just going to graph these the same way that we've been graphing lines of equations that are in slope-intercept form, okay? So for line C, I'm going to use green. My y-intercept is 80, so plot a point at 80. And my slope is down 1 over 3. Let me make these points a little bigger. Down 1 over 3. And I'm just going to continue with this pattern, okay? And if I connected these, this line is a little bit too high above my data to be able to represent it accurately, okay? So it's not going to be C either. Let's use blue, and I'm going to graph line B. So for line B, The y-intercept is at 75, which is right here. And then my slope is negative 1/3. So down 1/3. Wow, that one fit the data really well, actually. It really did go straight through the middle of it, okay? So I'm pretty sure right now that my answer is B, but what I want to do is just double check that it can't be A, okay? So in line A, I'm going to use red. My y-intercept is 80, so put it there. And the slope is negative 2/3. So I'm going to go down 2/3, down 2/3, down 2/3, down 2/3. And if I were to connect these points, you can see that that slope is just going down too quickly to match up with my data. Okay, so my answer here is definitely B. Very good. So I am color coding to help me out here, and I am trying to find the line when I graph it that best fits the data. So a line of best fit, okay, is what we're finding. So let's try example 1. On your own, I would like for you to graph all 4 of these lines and then see if you can pick out which one best fits the data, okay? All right, so I have graphed all 4 of my lines and I've color coded them. Part D was just a little bit tricky because when I go down 5 spaces, I did come off the graph a little, and then I just counted over 3, and it's kind of an estimate, but it's pretty close. Okay, so in looking at this data, which of these 4 lines best fit the data? And it's clearly not blue or yellow, okay? So I'm going to eliminate blue and yellow. But I would like for you to look at their equations and tell me what they have in common that makes them a clear bad choice. And the answer is they both have positive slopes. Okay, positive slope. So one way that you can eliminate answer choices is by understanding the slope of your correlation. This was a negative correlation, so I really did need a line that had a negative slope, okay? And so we are going to start looking at the equations to help us eliminate answer choices so that we don't have to graph all 4 of them. And so first thing that we're going to look at is the slope, okay? We're going to eliminate choices based on the ones that have an incorrect slope. And I mean the positive or negative aspect. All right, so now we're down to green or red. And if I were to try to look at the y-intercepts here, they're exactly the same, so that didn't help me. But that would be something else that I could look at, okay? Would be the y-intercepts could help me eliminate some choices. All right, and then the last thing is just actually using the slope and plotting more points and seeing how that line fits best. And so moving forward, we could count the rise and the run, okay, if needed to choose the final answer. Alrighty. So in this case, it looks like the green line is a little too high right here on the right side and a little too low up here on the left side of the points. It's a little too low there. So the red line really is the best fit all the way through, and that is D. All right, great job. What I want you to do in number 2 is we are not going to graph all 4 lines. We're going to try to eliminate some answer choices here before we get down to the ones that we want to graph. Okay, so looking at this correlation on the graph, is this a positive correlation or a negative correlation? Okay, and so this is definitely, this is definitely a positive correlation. All right, so what I want to do is I want to keep the lines that have a positive slope. So D has a slope of -1/2, so that's not it. In C, that also has a negative slope. It's -2. So I've already eliminated 2 answer choices. Next, I would look at the y-intercepts. They're both at 3, though, so that's not going to help me decide which line it would be. So I am left with just the option of actually graphing both of these lines now, but at least I don't have to do all 4. Okay, so they both have a y-intercept at 3, so up 3, and then line A is up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, and if I were to do that line, it kind of looks like it's a pretty good fit. But just to be sure, let's double check line B, okay? So still starting at +3, I'm going to go down 1 over 2. Whoops, up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2, and then if I connect these points, this line does not match the data as well, okay? So it's not going to be B. My answer is definitely A. Great job. So we have done examples 1 and 2. What I would like for you to do is to pause this video and try to do examples 3 and 4 entirely on your own. Be sure to eliminate some choices before you begin graphing, okay? I only want to see you graphing 1 or 2 lines just to double check. So pause this video and complete these 2 examples. So in number 3, I've narrowed it down to A or C, and the one that fits best is C. Let's try 4. All right, and in example 4, I was able to use the y-intercept to narrow down to a single last choice, okay? So I have a negative correlation, but option A had a positive slope, so I had to eliminate that. And then I looked at my y-intercept. I circled it on the correlation, and it was up +2. And so my answer choices over here, C and D, both had a -2 for the y-intercept, which would have been down here, which is way far away from the data, okay? So the only graph left that both had a negative slope and a +2 y-intercept was option B. So that is my answer. So that time we didn't even have to graph, okay? Alrighty, let's, I want you to practice example 5 on your own. We're going to do 6 together, so don't worry about that. Alright, so for example 5, I could narrow down 2 options based on just the slopes. Okay, I was looking for negative slopes. And then C and D, I went ahead and graphed both of them. My red line was a better fit to the data. The green line was a little too steep. So my final answer is C, -3/4 x minus 1. Alrighty, number 6. Number 6, we are going to still do the exact same process, starting with writing down what type of correlation do you see in this graph or in this scatter plot? And the type of correlation I see is positive. So I went ahead and labeled my positive correlation. Now I'm going to look at my answer choices and see if I can eliminate the ones that do not have positive slopes. Okay? Well, all of my answer choices are currently in standard form. So what do we need to do when the equation is in standard form? We need to switch it to slope-intercept form. So what you might want to do is in the bottom margin of your paper, there is some space where I want you to write option A, and then we're going to go ahead and solve these out together. But I am going to just focus on the ones that have positive slopes, okay? So let's solve these together. Starting with A, okay? So the first thing that I need to do is to subtract this 2x to the other side. And then I will divide everything by 3. All right? And look at this. This has a negative slope. So I'm going to eliminate option A. Let's go to option B and start solving. Subtract the 2x from both sides. And now I'm going to divide everything by negative 3. Okay, so a negative 2 divided by a negative 3 actually gives me a positive slope, which is what I'm looking for. But I went ahead now and just finished writing that all out, okay? So y equals 2/3 x minus 4. Great. Now let's take a look at example, or option 3. Let's start solving it. So I need to subtract this 3x from both sides. Okay, bring everything down and rewrite it. And now I am ready to divide by the 2 that's in front of the y. Okay, and so my slope here is a negative 3/2x. And again, because it's negative, I'm going to nix that answer choice, okay? All right, and now let's work on option D. Subtract this 3x over to the right. Bring everything down and rewrite it. And now I'm ready to divide everything by this negative 2. All right, so I have a negative 3 over a negative 2, so that will become positive. And then 8 divided by negative 2 is negative 4. Great, so I've got 2 equations. Let's go write them, well, you can see them all at one time. I just need to move mine over. So 2/3 x minus 4. So C is y equals 2/3 x minus 4. And D is y equals 3/2 x minus 4. And we eliminated A and B based on their negative slopes. Okay. Alrighty. So C and D, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to graph these. So let's do C first, okay? They both have a negative 4 as a y-intercept, so I couldn't really use that to help me eliminate one of them. Okay, so negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 is right here, and then positive 2 over 3, positive 2 over 3, or I could go down 2 and back 3, and here is what the red line looks like. Let's try D down here, okay? Again, my y-intercept is at negative 4, And now I'm going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3 over 2, up 3 over 2, and up 3 over 2. And this line looks like that. So, which one is the better fit? And I'm going to agree with most of you and say D. Hopefully nobody said the red line, which is option C, because it kind of, see, the data's up here and this red line is just too low down here, okay? So that is everything on scatter plots, correlations, and then determining which line would be a best fit for the data, okay? We are going to practice this before we move into our next lesson, which will be, instead of picking out which line is the best fit, we're going to create the line or the equation of the line that is the best fit, okay? But for now, go ahead and practice your scatter plots and your correlations assignment, which is posted to Google Classroom.